My name is Bree. I am with High Plains Fair Housing Center, and with me today are Ingrid and Emmett. Ingrid, if you could start off by introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about you.
So I am Ingrid. I am an intern at High Plains Fair Housing. Um, I'm from Grand Forks and I graduated from UND last December with a degree in international studies in German.
Okay, and Emmett, how about you?
Hi, my name is Emmett Sum. I am also a intern at High Plains Fair Housing Center. I'm also from Grand Forks, but currently I go to school at the University of Minnesota Duluth, and I am studying political science with a minor in environmental sustainability and social science data analytics.
Okay, very impressive for both of you. Okay, so outside of school and work, what is something you're passionate about, or what's something you like to do in your free time?
I am very passionate about movies. I love watching movies. I love talking to my friends about different like symbolisms and um, in them. So yeah.
Do you have a favorite movie?
Yes, I do. It would be Mulholland Drive by David Lynch. I love David Lynch.
Okay, and Emmett, how about you?
So being in Duluth, I have had the opportunity to like get into more outdoor activities. So I recently started mountain biking a lot more, and that's something I really enjoy doing in my free time. The campus has mountain bike trails, just like I think it's like less than half a mile away. So I'll rent a bike from campus and I'll just kind of go out in the trail, then come back and, go to my next class or finish studying a little bit. So that's something I've been really passionate about lately.
Is mountain biking all year long, or does it kind of, stop during the icier months?
I think it can be all year long with fat tire bikes, but I don't really plan on investing in one of those kind of bikes. They're pretty expensive, and I don't think UMD rents them. But during the winter months, I'm actually pretty into skiing. So that's kind of the flip-flop of Duluth. Like in the summer months, I'm mountain biking, and then the winter months, I'm like skiing.
Okay, well, awesome. So for both of you, how did you first hear about High Plains for Housing Center?
I first heard about High Plains Fair Housing Center, I would say in 2021. I signed up to be a tester here.
Oh, can you
Mhm.
tell us a little bit about that process?
It was pretty easy. You just had to do some like onboarding things. You learn about the history of testing and what to expect when you go out and do the testings and all that.
For those who have never heard of the testing process, like essentially kind of what is the purpose? Um,
Well,
oh, go ahead.
yeah, so the process of being a tester is you go to apartments or housing and you see how they basically like interact with you versus someone else. Um, and just to make sure that everyone is having their rights accepted when they're trying to rent a property.
Yeah, so to make sure that people have equal rights and equal access to all of the housing dwellings and domains, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay, so how about you, Emmett? How did you first hear about High Plains?
So living in Grand Forks, I would say that High Plains Fair Housing Center is pretty active in our local community. And the first time I was, um, I experienced fair housing, I guess, or information about fair housing was at the Empire Arts Center. The High Plains Fair Housing Center did a informational presentation on redlining. And I went to that with my brother and a friend, and it was a pretty interesting experience. I hadn't heard about redlining before, and it was great to get that information at a pretty young age.
Emmett, can you explain what redlining is for those who may not know?
So yeah, the process of redlining, it happened kind of when cities were starting to become more like suburban, like getting out of the central area. And this was kind of a collaboration between the city and mortgage companies and like banks. And they literally drew lines around neighborhoods that were deemed high risk. And those were typically minority communities, or not typically, but all the time minority communities. And their houses weren't backed by anything. So everything in those red line communities, the property values were just, forced to be lower by these, existing proponents that the city created. So that in turn uh, made those communities just less valuable to live in. It made it really hard for people in those communities to move outside of those communities. And it, kind of created the systemic injustice that we see today.
So for both of you, what is the work that you are planning to do with High Plains?
I've been doing education and outreach things, so I've been going to I've been giving presentations to people in the community who need to know this information. And I did a booth at the Grand Forks Library, and that was pretty fun. A lot of people didn't realize what their rights were, so it was kind of nice explaining that to them.
And how about you, Emmett?
So right now I am a completely remote intern since I'm living in Duluth. And I've worked on the newsletter for High Plains, and I'm also kind of training to learn how to, give educational presentations on fair housing. But overall, like being an intern at High Plains, my, main goal is just like the opportunity to help people. That's why I'm mainly interested in being an intern at High Plains.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people who work for High Plains would agree that we're all helping people just in our own areas, which is very important. So thank you both for being interns with us this semester and this year. What is one thing you feel like people misunderstand about fair housing? Or like what is like a fact or issue about fair housing you wish more people knew?
So I would say fair housing is not really just about outright discrimination. It also just means ensuring equal access, equal treatment, and equal opportunity to everyone. And kind of like a factor issue in the spirit of Native American Heritage Month is that Native Americans face some of the highest rates of housing discrimination and overcrowding in the United States. Yet most federal fair housing cases filed each year rarely involve Native American communities.
I would say for me, um, a a lot of people like don't understand their rights when it comes to disabilities and reasonable accommodations and modifications, and how if you speak to the property manager, um, you'd be able to pay your rent later when your um, social security comes in or your disability checks come in. Um, yeah.
Yeah, that was something that definitely surprised me when I first started working at High Plains was that 50% of complaints in our office and federally are related to disability. And that there are these very simple things that people can do that would make things easier for both the landlords and tenants, like requesting an accommodation to have their rental due date land on the same day as their disability income, which seems so small, but is part of their federal rights in making sure that they have access to fair housing. All right. And so I think we have time for one last question. In your own words, what does fair housing mean to you?
Fair housing to me means equal opportunities for everyone, equal housing, just freedom, I would say, to have your own dwelling without being discriminated against.
How about you, Emmett?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Kind of along those lines, fair housing means that everyone, no matter their background, has the right to live in a safe and welcoming home and community. And it's not just about access, it's also about dignity and belonging. So making sure that everyone, feels at home.
Those are both really great answers, guys. Well, I'm really excited for you to be on board with us, and I'm sure you'll be seeing a little bit more of Ingrid and Emmett as time goes on. But thanks for attending our Fair Housing Community Conversations today, and hope everyone has a great day.